Okay, so now you've watched our opening sequence. What were your initial thoughts?
I thought it was well put together. It was obviously well thought out. Given your locations, you must have put a lot of planning into it to be able to, secure those locations specifically. The train station, I know from personal experience, it's quite difficult to get permission to film there. But being students, you probably found it a little bit easier. Not being a corporation, so.
Yeah. Did you understand what was going on throughout? Because a lot of people have said that it's not particularly easy to follow.
I think the difficulty with only producing an opening sequence is that you're supposed to leave some air of mystery. So your
a show not tell sort of thing.
Effectively, yeah. So your other feedback might be from a perspective of, I don't get it, what's the story? But it's not there to tell a story, it's there to evoke mystery and make you want to know more. So I think it's relatively straightforward to follow. You can see that there's some kind of internal conflict going on with the protagonist, that he's got some issues that he needs to deal with. He flashes back to memories when things remind him of them. It leaves you wanting more information, which is the entire purpose of an opening sequence to any film.
We were debating having a score in there. We weren't too sure whether it would work or not, but what did you think about it?
I think the score works really well. I like that there are no vocals on the track. I think that aids the mood of the opening sequence. It was well produced, it was well recorded. It's nice that it was an original track and you didn't take it from somewhere else. I think that is kind of credit to your organisational skills where that piece of work is concerned.
Was there anything that wasn't particularly great or that you didn't enjoy?
I think there were a couple of shots where perhaps I think if you were given more time you might have looked at revisiting them to make them work a little better. Certainly in terms of lighting technique and that kind of thing. I think it's good to note that for future productions, the more pre-production work you put in, the more planning and time spent on arranging lighting and that kind of stuff, the less post-production you'll have to do, and you'll find it a bit easier to manage in that sense. But for the most part, it was very well produced. You thought about where your titles were going to go, which was quite nice to look at. Certainly where they cross over and those special effects that you added using keyframing, that looks good. There's one shot that I particularly like, which is from an over-shoulder shot from the protagonist looking across the train station, and there's someone shouting on the phone, and someone else comes down the stairs and all this paper blows around everywhere, and that worked really well. And I know it's difficult to capture that kind of shot, but it looks like you did a good job of it.
Is there anything that you would have changed if this was your production?
Perhaps I might have varied the shots slightly different. I might have filmed them slightly differently in terms of framing and composition. For the most part, the framing was pretty good. I would just have looked at a couple of other things. The titles were good, so I probably would have done those in a similar fashion anyway. No, there's not a lot. If this were the brief and the storyline that I were working with, I would have done it very similarly.
Okay. Finally, did it capture you? As in, did you look at it and go, oh yeah, I really want to watch on? Or were you a bit like, yeah?
It definitely encourages you to want to see more of what's going on, but it's more the air of mystery, probably more so than the actual quality of production, if that makes sense.
So you think it's more like the stuff that we didn't add in, which is what makes you want to carry on watching?
Perhaps, yeah. I think it's more the narrative. I think it's not. I don't look at it and think this is an epic piece of cinema and I want to watch it more because the cinematic aspects of it are what's drawing me in. I look at it and think, like, what's going on? Why are those two people arguing? What's wrong with this? With the protagonist? What's he trying to learn or decide, or what's going on inside his head? And you want to know more. So I'd say that the narrative, perhaps, in terms of making me want to see more, was stronger than the production of it.
Okay, thank you.